when it comes to scheduling content, there's first thing you have to understand is that today's training is not specifically about how to create content, because that could be a week-long program, workshop of creating content. So that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking more specifically about how to get your content seen. So scheduling it, creating a plan, when to post, where to post. And it's also important to understand that without content, you have no visibility, and probably people will not be finding you, and which means that it's going to be hard to have a successful business, because today in our world, whether it's online or offline, it's about creating content for the internet and posting it and promoting it. So keep in mind that your job is to create content. And I look at content in a couple of ways. There's long form, unique content. This is content that you create. It's unique to you. You write it or record it. It is longer. It is not just, it's not a 1-minute video. It could be a training video. It could be a 1,000-word or 2,000-word blog post. It's unique to you. It's how people learn about you. It's how people get to know you. It's how people decide whether or not you're the right person to work for them. So there's unique long form content. Then there is short micro content. And short micro content is mostly the content that we create for social media, status updates, Instagram posts, tweets, that kind of thing. Short, 60-second videos, 30-second videos, 15-second Instagram stories. That's micro content. And then curated content. That's content from other people that we're using to make a point. It's content that supports our message. It's content like guest posts or sharing an article from NPR on Facebook, or sharing a video that you like on YouTube. That's curated content. Typically, we're looking at somebody else's content and says, oh, this is something that my audience would get value from or would like, and you are sharing that on either in a blog post. It could be a guest post, as I said, a guest blog post, or you're sharing it on social media. And that's often called other people's content. So if you hear the term OPC, that means other people's content. So those are the 3 types of content that we're most usually dealing with: what we create, short form content, and other people's content. So once you create a piece of content, let's look at this in terms of, and of course, this is always in the context of your business, okay? So I'm not talking about sharing cat videos on Catterday or something like that. That's revealing your personality and that peek behind the curtain. But when we're talking about the content for your business, when you create a piece of content, what happens? What happens next? And I want you to type that in the chat too. So what do you do after you create a piece of content, whether it's long or short, or a guest, other people's content? What do you do with it? Trying to get it. I'm curious to get a sense of how you're playing with your content, how you're using your content. Schedule or real-time post to social. Missing letter campaign, so that's social, good. Send to an e-zine list. Post on blog, post on LinkedIn, put it on my site, refer to it on social media. Video stays on my computer. Robin, you crack me up. Edit over and over again, never seems right. Okay. It sits and sits. Post it to private groups, good. All right, so that's good, because in order for people to find and consume your content, it needs to be promoted. And I in my experience, when I'm working with clients or in private communities, I find that most people don't promote their content enough. And that's probably why this topic of scheduling and planning and promoting came up, because people are seeing, that, and this might be you, that it's like, well, I wrote this blog post and nobody's, I tweeted it and I posted on Facebook, but, nobody's reading it, nobody's visiting it, nobody's sharing it, nobody's commenting on it. Well, there's a reason for that. It's not being promoted enough. There is a trend these days, especially in terms of blogging, and I highly recommend that you have your own content receptacle on your blog, on your site, that being a blog where you're posting content, because that's where you want people to go. But there's a trend these days to post longer content less frequently so that you can promote that content more. Does that make sense? So, if you're trying to post on your blog, once a week, but you don't seem to be getting to the promotion of it, enough promotion going, maybe you want to pull that down to twice a month and then spend more time promoting that content so that you get more visibility for your work and your business. Now, this all might sound obvious, but most people aren't doing it. They're not doing enough. And I know that because of all the reasons I stated prior. When you are sharing, you want to be, when you're sharing your content, when you're promoting your content, you need to do it more than once. You need to do it in multiple ways, and you need to do it in multiple formats, if at all possible. And that is going to come down to one thing, and that is your posting plan. How are you going to remember? How are you going to know if you've already posted it here, there, and everywhere? How are you going to remember to post it to the 10 places that you want it to post? And without some kind of a plan, then a lot of things fall through the cracks. I know, because, been there, done that, still do that sometimes. Sometimes I forget to use my own spreadsheets and plans. So the first thing, though, you want to figure out is what do you want to get from social media? What outcome do you want with this content you're creating? So typically that will fall into 3 areas also: brand awareness, traffic, and sales.